Scientology has been made famous by the likes of Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Elizabeth Moss, Nancy Cartwright, who voiced Bart in The Simpsons, and it's recently seen a lot of attention due to the Scientology speedruns trend, where a influencer attempts to run through a Scientology facility as quickly as they possibly can, get as far as they can get before they're caught or taken away. But today we're going to be delving into what exactly is Scientology, what is the Church of Scientology, what is it that they believe, what is it that they teach, and how, of course, did it all begin. As it turns out, Scientology would never existed if it wasn't for this man, a Lafayette Ronald Hubbard, or L. Ron Hubbard as he's known. He was born on March 13th, 1911 in Tilden, Nebraska, USA. In 1930, he studied at George Washington University before dropping out 2 years in. He went on to be an officer in the US Navy during World War II, but was twice removed from command positions on Navy vessels. After the war, he sought psychiatric help from a veterans charity hospital in Georgia, while his wife Sarah said that he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and was recommended lifelong hospitalization. It was during his treatment in 1950 that he would begin writing what would become Dianetics, which was a pseudo-scientific set of practices regarding the human mind, which he believed was a form of psychological treatment. However, it was rejected by psychological and medical establishments at the time. Hubbard went on to be a science fiction writer, and in 1948, while he was attending a science fiction convention, he was quoted as saying, "Writing for a penny a word is ridiculous. If a man really wants to make $1 million, the best way would be to start his own religion." It was in 1954 that the first Church of Scientology was founded in Los Angeles. Scientology headquarters began popping up all over the world, and they started to really sink their hooks in wherever they found themselves to be able to set up. Hubbard gave a series of lectures that delved into the occult and connects rituals and practices of Scientology to the magical practices of Aleister Crowley, even recommending one of Crowley's books. Now, if you know anything about Aleister Crowley, he was known as the most evil man in Britain. He very much spearheaded a lot of the occultic movements that now have a presence, particularly in the Western world. By 1966, Scientology had received tax-exempt status nationwide. Hubbard lived on a salary paid by the church of around $2.87 million in today's money. Hubbard encouraged vigorous attacks through almost any means towards any one of Scientology's critics. He instituted the fair game policy, which was codified in 1967, which applied to anyone deemed an enemy of Scientology, saying, "May he be deprived of property or injured by any means by any Scientologist without any discipline of the Scientologist. He may be tricked, sued, or lied to, or destroyed." After increasing difficulty looking for a safe haven for the headquarters of Scientology and being declared an undesirable alien in the UK, Hubbard took to the sea. He purchased ships and founded the Sea Org, a private navy of elite Scientologists. It's from here that he continued to run the Church of Scientology, while also writing OT3, which serves as a kind of creation story for Scientology. More on that later. Conditions on the fleet were described as being criminally abhorrent, with crew members not being allowed to wash and being served meager rations. Punishments for failures on the ships would happen regularly, as almost no members were trained in seafaring. Later, Hubbard returned to the United States, where he wrote the science fiction Battlefield Earth, which got a movie in the year 2000 starring John Travolta, who was a long-time Scientologist. The movie is considered one of the worst films ever made. Hubbard also wrote OT8, in which he describes Jesus Christ as a lover of young boys and given to uncontrollable bursts of anger. He also said, "My mission could be said to fulfill the biblical promise represented by this brief Antichrist period." Later in an interview, his son Nibs explained that his father believed he was the Antichrist. However, what was it that Scientology had to offer that seemed to be attracting these people? Well, as I mentioned earlier, Hubbard had developed a system known as Dianetics, which was a kind of spiritual cleansing of sorts. Hubbard claimed that Dianetics could increase intelligence, eliminate unwanted emotions, and it could also treat arthritis, allergies, asthma, heart disease, eye trouble, ulcers, migraines, and sexual deviance. According to Dianetics, all sources of psychological pain and physical problems was from memories known as engrams. The goal was to be clear of all engrams by going through a process known as auditing. Auditing was a form of hypnosis intended to create obedience and dependency in the person being audited. They are asked questions intended for them to locate and deal with past experiences, including painful experiences from past lives they've already lived. The person being audited is called a pre-clear, since they are not yet clear of their engrams. They are told to look into their mind and listen to what the auditor says. The auditor makes the person bring up past traumatic events over and over again until they can be cheerful about it. Then they move on to the next memory. Using a device called an E-meter, one can measure their level of mental or spiritual trauma and use auditing to remove it. During this process, a person will go up in levels of what is known as operating thetan, a spiritual ability in which a person is said to be cause over life, thought, matter, energy, space, and time, even going as far as claiming that people can attain telekinetic powers. Going up in levels of operating thetan requires the practitioner to put up large sums of money, and if for whatever reason the course is unsuccessful and the auditing process is unsuccessful, they are made to take the course again. Auditing continues to be reviewed negatively within the psychological community. Professor Robert Carroll is quoted saying, "What Hubbard touts as science of mind lacks one key element that is expected of science: empirical testing of claims. The key elements of Hubbard's so-called science don't seem testable, yet he repeatedly claims that he is only asserting scientific facts from many experiments. It's not even clear what such data would look like. Most of his data is anecdotes and speculations." In Hubbard's book, Operating Thetan Level 3, which Hubbard admitted to drinking alcohol and taking drugs to gain inspiration while writing, it teaches a bizarre origin story of why humans are the way we are today. So very far away from our solar system, 75 million years ago, there was an overlord of the Galactic Federation known as Xenu. At this time, the Galactic Federation had a problem with overpopulation. Xenu solved this problem by making many of the aliens within the Federation frozen and then transported them to Earth, which at the time was known as TGAC. He dropped their bodies into volcanoes and then killed them with hydrogen bombs also being dropped into the volcanoes. Xenu then captured the disembodied spirits known as the Thetans. The Thetans were forced to watch movie screens, and they were shown images of all the pain and grief that we currently experience. These Thetans will then inhabit human beings from the moment that we are born. That's the reason that Scientologist mothers aren't allowed to scream while they're giving birth, because if they scream, that's going to put more Thetans into their baby. And only by being a Scientologist do you have any hope of removing Thetans from your soul. Overall, to be a part of Scientology, you need to agree with absolutely everything that the Church of Scientology teaches and what L. Ron Hubbard teaches, with no criticisms whatsoever. Now, Scientology has a long documented history of abuse, financial exploitations, fraud. They have been known to encourage people to have complete disconnection from their families, and that's always a measure of control, is can we get these people to disconnect with their families? Anyone that might be able to tell them that, hey, maybe this is not a good thing that you're a part of right now. They began using a cross as their symbol after they were accused of not being a real religion, but don't be fooled, there's nothing Christian whatsoever about Scientology. What we're looking at here is a deceptive cult designed to cut people off from their identity, to confuse them, financially exploit them, and completely cut them off from their families until they're dependent on Scientology in every single way. The goal ultimately is to steal their entire identity. I mean, Scientology's founder even admitted to being on drugs and alcohol while he was writing their teachings and their beliefs that they ended up coming up with. He even called himself the Antichrist. Scientology lures people in with this overwhelming presentation that they've got everything together, and that if you only go through the same process that they're going through, that you can have everything together as well. It's all a trap designed to destroy people and keep them away from their identity in Jesus Christ. But as always, I want to hear what you guys think. So hit me up in the comments down below and have yourself a great day.